It's about 6 o'clock on the dot. They're walking their dogs, cruising the streets. I was just saying like that it's puppy time. It's puppy time, puppy time. Hi, again, we're on 11. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Five more. Oh my God, I'm so glad this is almost over. Okay. We can move on to stuff that's actually a little bit more concrete. I'm feeling too like now, I feel like I am sufficiently therapied. And the funny thing too is like because this after I left and he was like, oh, if you ever need help or anything happens to you or whatever, like my door is always open. Like, bro, I've been out here living on these streets since May 23rd of 2024 for like 9 months and whatever, and doing this really like drives home to me that it's like the extent to which I cannot stand this man is that there is a standing open invitation to just move back in with him whenever I should need it, and I've literally chosen to live on the street and sleep at bus stops instead. That is how much I cannot stand this bro. Absolutely not. Living with him was worse than being unsheltered homeless. And I think this is one of the two people that like there's a lot of people out there that just choose the lifestyle or whatever. Well, I mean, I guess, right? In a weird way, right? It's like but the thing is like I wouldn't choose to live this way, but I'm choosing this over the alternative. Um, yeah, but also choosing this for other reasons as well, which will become more apparent. I think I'm gonna start like lifestyle blogging as well and start some other little projects once this is done. I just wanted to blast through this as quickly as possible. And so when this is over, I can move on to some more like concrete, consistent sort of content instead of this flow of consciousness shit. But it is what it is. So this is number 11 of 15. Mustard! Okay, sorry. I break for Kendrick. And I know I've noticed because for whatever reason, like these things do not pick up anything outside of like my 4 feet right radius. Because whenever the traffic's loud or the bus is there, I always think like there was that video I did the other day where I stopped because they were trimming trees and it was so loud I could hardly hear myself think. And then when I edited the video just to make sure it wasn't completely drowning me out, it was like it didn't even exist. Like I never that's the tiniest dog ever. Oh my God. And it has a big floof on the end of this little skinny. Oh my God, that is the cutest dog ever. He's so tiny. Oh my God, that's too funny too. So then this couple walks by, they have a cute little wiener dog, and this other couple walking the opposite direction with a giant golden retriever, and the couple with the tiny wiener dogs will look down and be nice to their dog, like I swear to God, if you bark, I'm not feeding you. Oh my God, that's too funny. Anyway, that wiener dog really was looking like he was gonna pick a fight with that dog 100 times bigger than him. Okay, anyway, I volunteered to be on an investigation committee for the Democratic Party to investigate a complaint that was filed against a member. He showed himself completely incapable of respecting my need for quiet concentration. He repeatedly bothered me with stupid shit that I couldn't give a fuck less about, such as working on other residents' televisions, distracting me by talking loudly to himself, insisting that I attend to his announcement that he had brought up a block of cheese, and asking that I guess what we were going to have for dinner. He's a goddamn motherfucking piece of shit pest, is what he is. I can't wait to get out of here. Now, so background information on this, because I'm pretty sure I'm not going to go into that much detail. So just for the understanding of the gravity of this. So within the political party structure or whatever, it runs like a high level organization. Like the meetings, there's parliamentarian and you follow parliamentarian procedure and you have your bylaws and rules and yada 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 and all of this stuff. And when members of the party, so like people who are the presidents of the caucuses or even just the the chairman of committees and like this and this and that, right? So like we're talking like when you send your delegates to the DNC or like choose the people that are your actual like electors and whatever. So this is actually like kind of a really good, here's an example I could use. This wasn't this particular situation, but one that might be a little bit more accessible for people who don't do a lot of stuff directly with the political party. So the Electoral College are actual people that are decided upon by the respective political parties to actually officially cast the votes for president. So here in Hawaii, we have four members in our Electoral College. And so whatever party wins the popular vote election in the state, their four electors are the four people who actually officially cast the votes. They can vote for whoever they want. This is where things start getting wonky, right? And like I'm just like I don't understand it because my brain does not compute the logic of this. Um, but it is what it is. For the election, what was that? The 2016 Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump. One of our electors, because so here in Hawaii for the primary, Bernie Sanders beat Hillary Clinton 70% to 30% of the popular vote. Hawaii is so blue. We do have a couple of Republican state senators or state representatives that like the Republican Party isn't non-existent, and there are members of the Republican Party that hold elected office. But for all intents and purposes, you can kind of just imagine that it doesn't fucking exist here. So, so Bernie Sanders beat Hillary Clinton in the primary, 70% to 30%. And that year, when Hillary Clinton won our popular vote then for president, one of our Democratic Party electors cast the presidential vote for Bernie Sanders, knowing that this would get him censored by the party. Okay, this is which is like a slap on the wrist, right, or whatever. But this is the sort of thing like when things like this arise, you can file a complaint. So it's not like a legal complaint, but it's kind of like a legal complaint. You file a complaint with the party to have that person either like officially punished or which could be like ousted from their position, or just censored, which like I said is really just a slap on the wrist where it's like don't do that, bruh, right? It's like if a cop pulls you over, right, you can get a ticket, you can get a warning, or they could have just decided to not pull you over, right? But so when someone files the complaint against you, it's like you get pulled over. An investigative committee gets together. It's a triumvirate. Three people volunteer to investigate the complaint, and they take the reports from both sides, and they read the bylaws and the Constitution and the da 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 da. And it's kind of like a tribunal court, right? And those three people decide the fate of the person that the complaint was filed about. Um, so, like I said, so it's like that when the stuff went down with the elector who cast his vote for Bernie Sanders, basically like that was something serious enough and egregious that they had to be more than just censor. But it was like the problem was not like censor censor, censure. Okay, so when but it's like because he was an elector and that's already over and what he did like there's no standing like continuing existence of him being in any kind of a position to punish that it was kind of like well you really can't do anything other than be censored for it but it's like well but you could also say like you can't ever be an elector again but it's just some weird position of pomp and circumstance so it's kind of like in a lot of ways you could have just said like okay so we just won't ever let him be an elector again like going through the whole formal complaint process wasn't perhaps completely necessary or whatever so anyway but this situation here was a complaint against the member who was the chairperson of one of the caucuses. And the three, was that the one? I did the investigative committee multiple times when I was the Region 2 chair. So it's a 2-year term. I was on the investigative committee repeatedly. This particular instance, I think, was the one where the person that was of the three people, it was me and then another person, one of the other partners that I was basically spending the whole day communicating with and talking about this, worked for one of our federal senators like in her actual like office here in Honolulu. So like they weren't in DC, they were actually here, but their direct boss was one of our senators, not state senators, federal senators. I just don't want to like throw names out there or whatever, right? But so we're this is the level that we're talking about here. Like when I am telling this man like I'm on this investigate. I like we're doing this, or whatever. Like leave me because the sooner you can investigate and draw your conclusion and write it up, like you can be done with this stuff in one day. You just need to just do the work, right? So that's one of those like, can you just leave me alone for the day while I'm working on this thing? Okay. I don't know if he's doing it on purpose or if he has a fucking glitch that makes him aware of the fact that others around him are trying to concentrate, that makes him test their dedication to paying attention to him. The more preoccupied someone is with something else, the more of a thrill it is to make them attend to him for no reason other than getting them to pay attention to him. It's a stupid subconscious challenge. Right. So it's like, well, she says this thing that she's working on is really important, but I bet she would still like stop what she's doing to talk to me about what we're having for dinner tonight. When it's like we literally don't need to be doing that. You know what I mean? Um, oh, it made me think of something else, but now I've lost it, which is probably a good thing. Um, eh, whatever. He's so dumb. He has this lid that originally came with a rice cooker, but it fits his saucepan, which is Sans lid, perfectly. The rice cooker went to shit, but long live the lid. It's a glass lid with a plastic handle that screws in with one screw. Over time, the hole in the handle for the screw has receded, so the screw won't stay screwed into the hole anymore, right? Because it's plastic, so it's gotten stripped over time from all the use, right? Um, Also, at this time, my bed frame needs a new bolt and nut, as the one that came with it is so short that the nut was barely screwed onto the bolt, right? So by the time the bolt goes through, like there's barely any threading left to even put the nut on the bolt to hold it together in the first place. So as time wore on, the nut was eventually stripped off, ruining the bolt. Got it so far? I hope so. Suffice it to say that there are a lot of screws loose in here. Good one, even if I do say so myself. Yay! There goes the German Shepherd with a really long tail. Yay! Okay. Anyway, we need one screw for the lid and one bolt for my bed frame, right? Right? Like keep that together, right? I need a bolt. I need a nut that fits the bolt on my bed frame, and I need a screw that fits the handle for the lid for the saucepan. We need one screw for the lid and one bolt for my bed frame. This motherfucker cannot, for the life of all that is sacred, understand that in order to get a new bolt and screw, he needs to take the handle and the nut, not the broken screw and the bolt. I remember this. And or the nut. So he wants to take the part that he needs to replace to go because like for the handle he can just get a bigger screw like because it's plastic you can just brute force a bigger screw into the handle, right? He wants to take the screw and the nut to the hardware store when what he needs to take is the bolt and the handle to the pot, right? So I remember this. This was the story that I mentioned a few entries ago where that I was talking about that he brought up this like handful of a bunch of random nuts and screws that like Ralph downstairs had given him to try. And then I'd already matched up and had fixed the things and he came over and started playing with them again just to like bother me. And I was like, dude, I already did that, right? Like, that's done. These are all of the extras, right? It's like this is just the ones that didn't work. So anyway, the new hardware needs to be fitted into the existing hardware and nothing else. He tried to explain himself by insisting that there are many different styles of threading on different bolts and screws. Even if that were the case, you would still, like, this is just all the more reason to take the bolt that you need a nut for, not the nut that doesn't fit the bolt. Like, what the fuck, dude? Okay, anyway. He tried to explain himself by insisting that there are and the reason you still have to use this bolt is because the way that the frame is built and put together, you need the bolt that's going to fit through the hole and like everything on the frame. So like the nut, I don't know. And now it's like I'm so far removed. But anyway, we're going to just go with this, right? Whatever it was. He tried to explain himself by insisting that there are different styles of threading on different bolts and screws. Even if that were the case, one would still only need to take the receiving hardware in order to fit it properly with new insertion hardware. I can't even. He came back with a perfect bolt, washer, and nut set for my bed. He also brought back a screw for the lid. Right now, he is filing it with a knife sharpener. I don't know why. I don't want to know why. I don't give a shit. I'm done. Okay, fair. I really wish that I could just tell him to shut the fuck up. His incessant thinking out loud is driving me nuts. Maybe it's just him thinking and he doesn't realize that it's out loud. At any rate, it's fucking irritating, but I feel like the irony of me just sitting here on the street, like reading and doing this. But it's funny because I actually get a lot of like acknowledging and approving looks from people repeatedly throughout while doing this, so it's actually kind of nice. It's like people don't think I'm crazy. It's great. Okay, anyway. At any rate, it's fucking irritating. But insofar as my job is to be his best friend and not point out how goddamn odd he is, I have to just smirk and bear it. He came back up this morning and announced that he had to fix someone's key because it wasn't working in the front door lock. Maintenance guys don't come in until 9, so I have to do something about their key, he starts out muttering to himself. He sat down at his desk and started looking at something with his magnifying glass. I realized he was looking at a key, and I had to bite my tongue instead of suggesting that something like that, especially when a new key costs $150, is better left to a thing called a locksmith. He was talking himself through looking for his file, and then out of nowhere, for some fucking reason, he asked me if I knew where he had put his file. I said that I didn't even know he had one, all the while blocking out the screaming voice in my head that said to do the world a favor and push him out the window when I get a chance. I wonder if he knows how stupid he is. I wonder if he struggles with a metacognitive dilemma about me. Am I also stupid and don't recognize that he is also stupid, or am I fully aware that he's intellectually disabled and just pretending? Guess what, motherfucker? I deserve an Oscar, right? That it's just this. So, and I know I've mentioned this before, that it's like I can't imagine, like, if he's receiving disability, he's been diagnosed with something that allows him to be on disability, right? And all evidence to the contrary that he's disabled physically. Like I said, he would go out and spend hours helping them, like rake and mow and trim and the lawn and plant and decorate and go downstairs and walk up and down through the building doing security type stuff and whatever. Like he was not physically disabled in any real capacity, right? So, and then as far as his being hard of hearing, like deaf people get jobs all the time, right? I like I don't. I'm not trying to say that it's not something that you would be able to get disability for, but I don't really think it is. Right? So I don't know. Like I said, it really seems kind of apparent that whatever he was getting disability payments for, it was a psychological debilitation, and he had to know that he qualified for some diagnosis that they got him on the disability. Maybe that's what part of this was for, was that people didn't they like maybe they thought he was defrauding the disability system and they wanted like some opinion of whether or not he's actually that like hard up, for which I would wholeheartedly say, oh yeah, no, fuck no, no workplace would be able to tolerate this man for 3 shifts. There's no fucking way he can hold down a job. There's absolutely no way. Like if I was his manager at a minimum at a fast food restaurant or even in there's no way I would want him coming to work. He'd get hired, he'd get through the training, and then they would just like not put him on the schedule. Like we just don't have any hours for you this week. You know what I mean? Last night we were watching Bowling for Columbine, and it got to Marilyn Manson's interview. When the first clip was over, this happened. He's so goddamn smart, it's fucking insane, I said, capping off his very astute assertions in the program. In the like I said, like since things have gone seriously awry about him, but at the time when that was made or whatever, he was pretty well respected and regarded as someone that kind of had his shit together, right? And then he ended up being outed as a bit of a pedophile and sexual deviant, which is like, my God, who isn't anymore? Jesus. Okay, anyway. I said, capping off his very astute assertions in the program. A moment elapsed before he said, "No, I mean, he's right, indicating that apparently he had said something intelligible prior to alluding to thinking that I had said something that I did not say. Dumbfounded. Just absolutely dumbfounding. I spotted the dumb. 80% of the time, it's always 10 feet away from me 100% of the time." Oh, man. Excuse me. This morning he brought me a few Diamond Bakery Royal Cream crackers. That is how they're spelled. That's not a typo. Which taste just like animal crackers, but they're larger and round. Thanks again for the biscuits. They taste just like animal crackers, I said. Yeah, that's what they make animal crackers from. It's wild, he responded. What in the actual goddamn fuck goes through his head? Does he actually not realize how stupid he makes himself look? What is his major malfunction? I swear he thinks he hears my voice as thoughts. He literally repeats what I just said at least 50% of the time that I start a conversation. I think that he genuinely believes that he's good at predicting or filling in the blanks when he doesn't hear something, but he's not. He just shows his ass. That brings me to something else he doesn't seem to understand. Baking. Okay, but going back to that previous thing, right? Even if you were to say, well, he doesn't hear that well, so he didn't really fully hear, like, at a certain point, it ceases to be a coincidence, though, that he has a talent for just being able to repeat what you just said. Right? So there's no way that he's just not quite fully capable of hearing what you said because he's hard of hearing, but he somehow has a 100% success rate at just repeating what you just said. I said that I was going to make banana bread once, and his reaction was literally, how? Another time I said that I was going to make chocolate chip cookies. He asked me if I wanted a roll of cookie dough from the store. I told him no and said that I was going to make them from scratch. He looked very confused. From ingredients, I said. He looked completely baffled and then seemed amazed when they were actually edible. I've baked a few other times since. I've made homemade bread, coffee cake, pie, sugar cookies, peanut butter cookies. I still don't think he grasps that I know how to do things. Here's something strange about this entire project. When I write about something that he does, he stops doing it. Yeah, I forgot about that. He even paused a week or so ago when I asked him how he wanted his eggs before saying over easy. It was so weird. We had corn chowder last night. When he went to the fridge at about noon, I mentioned that I was planning to make bacon, eggs, and pancakes if he wanted to wait. Oh no, I'm going to have some of this, he said, holding up the leftover corn chowder with a stupid grin on his face. I'm going to have the leftover rice, that's why. There's always leftover fucking rice. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but at least I didn't have to endure the typical thoroughfare about it. Even last night, though I could feel him piercing me with glances until I finally asserted that it was edible with thumbs up, he was relatively calm about his goddamn alleged masterpiece corn chowder. What was strange now, though, is that he's taken to telling me that I can do things. Like last night when he told me I could put salt on it if I wanted to. No fucking shit, huh? Or just now when he told me that it was okay for me to make myself something to eat for myself. No fucking shit, huh? Right? It's like, oh no, I'm gonna eat this, but you can make that for yourself if you want. Like, yeah, I was going to, right? You know what I mean? Like, you not eating isn't going to stop me from doing what I'm going to do either, right? Fucking weird. He then proceeded to say out loud to himself that he was going to get some more coffee, commented that it was still hot. The damn coffee maker is still on. No fucking shit, huh? And then he proceeded to turn off the coffee maker after he took the last of the now hours old roofing tar, which has just been sitting there for so long it had to terribly burn. Oh, crazy. Just nuts. But yeah, on that one, that's another one in the books. Let's keep it pushing. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.